I'm here at a brand new, soon to be commissioned Electrify America station very close to my house. We're going to do a site visit and go over what this station entails. For those who don't know, Electrify America got it started in 2016, currently has 859 stations open as of the recording of this video, with over 100 more under construction, including this one and one additional one in downtown Charlotte, which is two new ones opening up in Charlotte. There's already an existing Electrify America station in Charlotte that has 10 stalls at a Walmart. It's a very good station, very reliable. I've been there many times. I really have had no problems whatsoever. As I mentioned, Electrify America got to start in 2016 as a result of a court ruling associated with Volkswagen having misconstrued their emissions, and the EPA found out and fined them. And one of the things that they were required to do was invest $2 billion in electric vehicle infrastructure in order to offset the emissions that were being misconstrued. So EPA thought, well, if we make them invest in electric vehicle charging infrastructure, that will kind of balance the scales a little bit. And then Electrify America was born. As you can imagine, Volkswagen was none too thrilled about having to invest $2 billion of their hard-earned money into American electric vehicle infrastructure. So this is not a result of capitalist forces that are bringing a product to market of which the market demands. There's a lot of argument in electric vehicle circles about the chicken and egg concept, where if there's no DC fast chargers, no one will get electric vehicles. But if there's no electric vehicles, no one will put in DC fast chargers. So a way of getting around that, this seemed to make sense. Although begrudgingly, Volkswagen was dragged into the DC fast charging operator arena with this new subsidiary of their company called Electrify America. So as a result of being litigated into existence, it was bedaggled by a lot of people with complaints after the initial flash in the pan of the installs. There were complaints about maintenance not being kept up, customer service being poor, and a lot of charging stations like this being what's known as derated, where they're advertised as being 350 kilowatt capable, but they only put out about 20 kilowatts. So it's not a business venture that's customer focused, at least in its inception. You could imagine the problems as they started to stack up. We're kind of beyond that now. Electrify America has begun to shift gears from being a result of litigation to being a legitimate nationwide DC fast charging operator. They recently changed their chief executive, and there seems to be a more customer-focused culture starting to develop in Electrify America. And the reliability and repair rates seem to be on the uptick. That generally is the consensus of the current trend in the culture of the products of DC fast charging that Electrify America offers. So after the 2016 litigation passed and Electrify America was born, they needed to determine what their process of deploying DC fast chargers was going to be. And they settled on the concept of providing road trip charging stops, which is different than people who are living in apartments needing to charge on a routine basis. So when you look at the deployment of Electrify America stations, they're in major metropolitan areas, typically close to interstate interchanges. So they try to position them where someone who is taking a road trip can quickly get off the interstate, get a refill in their charge, and then continue on their trip. Not always, but usually that is the case. Their partners that they choose are big box stores, most typically Walmart and Target, and also Simon Mall Properties is another very popular partner that Electrify America places their DC fast charging stations at. This is a Simon Mall property. It's also right off the interstate of interchange Interstate 85 and 485 on the northern portion of Charlotte. Although they've only been in existence for a few years, since 2016, less than 10 years, there's been a few generations of the hardware that they put in for DC fast charging. The first one was a ABB charging station, which apparently from the information I looked up had problems when it got too hot dispensing sufficient electricity. So there were heat problems with the ABB. They changed to something called the eFace or Ifaki or something, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that only lasted a short amount of time and they stopped using those. Since then they've been using SK Signet and BTC Power. These are BTC Power units, the newer generation. The electric vehicle charging space has been evolving very quickly. I'm sure everyone has heard recently the adoption of the North American Charging Standard for electric vehicle charging, which will be coming in 2025. Electrify America has said no problem. They're going to be having stations. These are what are known as CCS1, but they'll be having stations with the North American Charging Standard plug, which is the standard SAE J3400 is the yet to be standardized release for the North American Charging Standard. They also do an ISO 15118, which allows a car to pull up, plug in, and start to charge without having to do an RFID swipe, open an app and fiddle around in there, or use a credit card. You just plug in and you immediately start charging. Some car makers have started to adopt that. Most notably Volkswagen, Lucid, and Ford are the three primary ones. Additional ones are starting to come online for the plug-in charge feature as well. They're trying to emulate the Tesla supercharger experience, which has heretofore been the gold standard for DC fast charging. At a Tesla supercharger, any Tesla owner will tell you, it's super seamless. It's a lightweight cable. You plug it in, no app, no card swipe, and off you go. Really customer-focused experience. And the rest of the industry is trying to catch up. Tesla is definitely the leader there. All right, now let's go with some of the problems that are occurring at this particular station and is very common with other Electrify America stations. I'll go over the positives here after this, but let's first touch on the negatives. As you can see, we are in the back of a shopping mall parking lot with the closest facility and entry into the shopping mall being a pretty good hike across the parking lot. And in that Burlington Coat Factory, there is a restroom, but you have to remember, we're not patrons of that store, and I can't imagine everyone who's going to be pulling in here is going to be going in to buy a coat, but most of the people here will probably be using the restroom if they're on a road trip. So there's that bit of awkwardness I find when I go to an Electrify America station going in to use the facilities. I'm not really a customer of the facility that is the host for the Electrify America station. And maybe that's just my conscience, but there is that. Other DC fast charging initiatives have that solved by the proprietor of the facility is actually the one providing the fast chargers, and for there that distinction doesn't exist. But here it kind of does. Bit of a walk. There's no canopy over the chargers, so if it's raining, you're going to get wet while you plug in. Unlike if you were at a gas station, there would be a canopy over you. Some of the newer generation of DC fast chargers like Pilot Flying J and Racetrack are putting in canopies over their DC fast chargers to make the experience seamless to what a gas customer would experience. There's also, as you can see, no trash cans. This is very common at Electrify America stations, especially at Walmarts too. Generally, the dirtiest part of a Walmart parking lot is where the Electrify America station is, because it's heavily utilized. People are stationed there for a good duration of time, and there's no trash cans because Electrify America doesn't have staff who could cycle through and empty the garbage cans, and typically the host is not willing to provide the staff necessary in order to cycle through the garbage cans. So that's definitely a problem with Electrify America. It seems to be systemic across the entire network, and I don't know if they're intending to fix that anytime soon. Also, obviously, no squeegees, nothing like that. And there's also one additional problem, and you could argue whether or not it's a problem or not, but it's Electrify America was the first nationwide DC fast charger network. And so a lot of the recent car manufacturers that have been releasing electric vehicles have been offering free plans with Electrify America to come and charge as much as you want at Electrify America stations. Now that sounds good, But what happens is you have people showing up here and clogging the chargers, making other people who are on road trips, who are paying customers, have to wait. And I've seen many a times people with free plans sit on Electrify America stations past 80% because they're just trying to fuel up for the week and get a full battery so they can go to work, you know, get the kids from school and things like that. But it causes the station to be occupied for a much longer duration because they're basically grinding the system. And so people who are in Volkswagens and Hondas and Kias and Lucids all get free charging at Electrify America, basically unlimited for 3 years with Volkswagen. I think it's 2 years with Hyundai. And the cars occupy the stalls very frequently to a pretty heavy extent. And so that alone is really why I tend to avoid Electrify America, just because they're always congested stations. They do have that notoriety of having the problem of being derated or having broken chargers. That's lessening now as time goes on and they transition more to a customer-focused approach. But still, if given the option, I'll go elsewhere. All right, now let's go over some of the highlights of this particular station. As I mentioned, it is directly off the interstate. The interstate is right over there. This particular shopping mall is said to be the most popular tourist attraction in the state of North Carolina. So the exits funneling into this parking lot are overbuilt. And so it's very easy ingress and egress in and out of this station right off the interstate, which is Interstate 85, and the exchange with Interstate 485 is right over there as well. So that's definitely a positive for this station. Also, these stations are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No problem whatsoever. Obviously, the attached mall is not. So you can only use the facilities in the mall, like the food court and the restrooms, during hours of operation of the mall. But still, the station itself is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is lighting, as you see. They actually put in this lighting because the rest of the parking lot lighting was a little bit further away, so they added this post for additional lighting. And that is actually helpful, not only for the safety concern of having lighting where you're charging, but it's also practical because I've been in stations where it's so dark it's kind of hard to see, and the glare off the screens sometimes makes your eyes kind of adjust to the glare off the screens, and it kind of is hard to see the rest of the area. So with the additional light, that's definitely an advantage. As I mentioned, this station does have plug-in charge, the ISO 15118 for cars that qualify. So if you're in one of those cars, you can plug in, start to charge without having to worry about swiping a credit card, pulling out an app, fiddling with it, or using an RFID card. And actually, I don't think Electrify America has RFID cards. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think they do. They do have near-field communications with the apps, which is similar, or an Apple Wallet card, but not an actual physical RFID card. Also, this station, as you can see, is capable of 350 kilowatts. All 6 stalls are up to 350 kilowatts. I'll go over the hardware here in just a second, but that is definitely an advantage. In earlier generations of DC fast charging, the dispensers were only able to give 50 kilowatts. And then we started to see 150 kilowatts. These are the newest ones. And so cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Hyundai Ioniq 6, the Kia EV9, that really new SUV that's coming out, can take advantage of their faster charging and be in and out of here in 15 minutes and get from 10 to 80% very quickly. The Lucid Air is the fastest charging car on the market today, but I understand with the Signet chargers, these are PTC, but with the Signet chargers, they have a bit of a problem, something called a Signet surge. But still, having this site capable is definitely future-proofing it. Now let's go over the hardware.
The transformer is a 1000 kVA transformer able to supply
approximately 900 kilowatts of active power. So although there's 6 stalls at 350 kilowatts, only 3 of them can actually reach that with this transformer. Here's the charging hardware on its foundation off to the side, back behind where the dispensers are. There's 3 chargers, which each one can handle 2 of the dispensers. And if you look off into the distance, you can see those dispensers. The manufacturer tag indicates a SKU of HPCT 360, and it's a BTC power unit. For the dispensers, the manufacturer tag reads HPC, what is that, 26500 5. So that would be the BTC model number. So there you have it, a brand new Electrify America station ready to be commissioned here at the Concord Mills Mall in northern Charlotte, right off Interstate 85 near the intersection of Interstate 485, with state-of-the-art, future-proof 350 kilowatt BTC dispensers. Super exciting. Can't wait to see more of these stations come online and the focus of Electrify America shift to be more customer focused. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.